You're listening to the Gratitude Podcast, episode 87.
Mental health issues are on the rise, regardless whether it's in Singapore, Asia, Southeast Asia, US, Europe, anywhere, right? It's definitely on the rise because of rising costs, rising demands in the workplace, maybe in family, and etc. So I believe gratitude is something that can work. Of course, it's not foolproof, 100% foolproof for everyone to actually become mentally stable if they are having any mental illnesses. But it is one of the practice that can help them to increase their happy hormones, their feel good hormones, rather than feeling down and out.
Welcome to the Gratitude Podcast on www.georgianbenta.com, where you'll hear a new story each week that will inspire more gratitude in your own life. Our mission is to inspire 100,000 people to discover how to feel gratitude and live a happy life through the amazing life stories of our successful guests and their actionable tips. And now, the host of our podcast, Georgian Benta.
Hi, Gratitude Seeker. Welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. Today, with me, I have Rayson. He's a motivational speaker, nurse at the Institute of Mental Health in Singapore, and founder of his brand, Raygacy. He has gone through a series of setbacks, such as experiencing his parents' divorce, constant bullying at the age of 7, and even the extent of losing his job and ex-girlfriend simultaneously at the age of 24. He has spoken to thousands of people in hospitals, schools, podcasts, and radio, and he has been featured on both local and international media. Going through the years of challenges, Rayson focused on the positive, and he is resolved to aspire to inspire before he expires. Going through these years of challenges made him create a vision for himself and for his life, for his legacy, until 2020, for him to inspire more than 20,000 people around the world to create joy and to have a legacy for the future and for the coming generations. Rayson, welcome to the Gratitude Podcast.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. It's really my honor and pleasure to be here, man.
My pleasure as well. And I'm really curious about the work that you do as a nurse at the Institute of Mental Health. I think it's something really important that you're doing there, and there are so many things that we misinterpret about mental health, and I would like us to start talking a little bit about that, because I feel that gratitude can be really helpful in all kinds of mental health issues.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, mental health issues are on the rise, regardless whether it's in Singapore, Asia, Southeast Asia, US, Europe, anywhere, right? It's definitely on the rise because of rising costs, rising demands in the workplace, maybe in family, and etc. So I believe gratitude is something that can work. Of course, it's not foolproof, 100% foolproof for everyone to actually become mentally stable if they are having any mental illnesses. But it is one of the practice that can help them to increase their happy hormones, their feel good hormones, rather than feeling down and out and living with a life of a cycle that is always working, eating, sleeping, and then repeating again. And they feel bored and feel bad about their cycle, which I have people telling me about that before. So yeah, in order to be grateful, I believe it all starts from within. Everything starts from within. Yeah, even mental illnesses, unfortunately, many times it also started from within. So in order to be uh, grateful, you have to start from within. You have to do the practice, which I'm going to share later on as well. What you can do as a listener and the viewer, what you can do in order to be more grateful in life. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I've read some studies regarding mental
Mm-hmm.
health and gratitude, and the fact that um, a lot of the antidepressants actually
Mm-hmm.
um, they work. They're
Yeah.
helpful until one point, and they are actually, from what I understand, um,
Mm-hmm.
hormones, serotonin usually, and this is
Mm-hmm.
to balance things out. And the interesting part about gratitude is
Excuse me.
that it actually helps us, helps our body secrete the same hormone, happiness hormone.
Mm-hmm.
And the good part is that it's free, and also
Yeah.
it doesn't have any negative side effects. So uh, that's
Yes.
why I think it's an interesting topic that we can discuss a little bit about.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. Sure. I believe. To be frank, I believe medications, you can't always 100% just depend on them. You need more than just the medication, right? Of course, medication, the patients that are listening or viewing right now, if you are a patient, you need to still continue the dosage of medication that was being prescribed. And also at the same time, do the practice of gratification, gratitude practice, which we will talk about later on. And and also they need support, and a lot of times it's not always, I would say, support. That's the key, one of the key factors that helps in their rehabilitation, in their recovery, in their stabilization, in their mental wellness. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally believe that it's one of the most important things to have support. And also, I know that you're thinking about doing a project about the things that um, people believe generally about mental health and that are not
Hmm.
very accurate. And I have a theory, and let me know if it's correct. Uh,
Okay.
I think most of us have some kind of mental health issues. Uh,
Yeah.
Maybe it's not
Unfortunately.
major, but they can be
Yep.
minor, or they can be something
Hmm.
of a beginning of a mental health issue, like
Hmm.
anxiety or depression or stress or something like this. And
Hmm.
I think that it's the best way to make sure that it doesn't grow into something more powerful, that has more power on us. It's
Yep.
important that we do something about it constantly.
True. And that's where gratitude comes in, right? That's where um, able to give thanks to the things that we have, and the things that we are we I would say the people, the things that we have in life are really important, because if you don't, you will always be wallowing with regrets, wallowing with disappointments, wallowing with uh, disagreements, and you'll be very upset. You'll be living with life full of sorrows, which I believe isn't what any human being are made for. We are not born to be sad 100% every single day. We are definitely born to have some form of sadness. We are also uh, born to have some form of discouragement. We are born to have some form of happiness, excitement, gratification, and all these kind of feelings. Life is not always about going downwards. Sometimes it's down, sometimes it's straight line, it's neutral, sometimes it can be horizontally up, can be going upwards, right? So it all depends. So I would say that it, if you are always so depressed, right? um, then you should be asking yourself, why are you always so depressed, right? Why are you so negative about life? Could it be because of some experiences? Could it be because of some uh, um, childhood memories that you had with your family or anyone that has came into your life and gave you that negative experience, or to say that experience that you perceived as negative? Yeah. So this is the key thing that people should go and think about it, and should go dive deeper and understand, because everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason, and people like you and I believe we were once depressed before, maybe because someone uh, died, for example, or even our ex-girlfriend that dumped us for another guy, or stuff like that, right? So all these things could happen, and if you keep bottling up, right, it's just like, um, for example, Coca-Cola bottle, you put in a lot of things, a lot of sand, a lot of items, and you just keep filling it up without sharing, right? You just keep filling and filling. Or even if you put the one bottle of Coke, you want to put another liter of Coke inside that one bottle. Of course, it will burst, or it will overflow, right? So it's the same. Emotions are like that. If you keep doing that, it will bottle up, bottle up, bottle up until to over the limit, and then if you don't seek help, then that's where things just go out of hand. Yeah.
I totally agree, and I love this idea about a Coke bottle and the fact that that is so visual that we indeed keep on putting things in there and not pouring it out, and not finding ways to deal with them, healthy
Mm-hmm.
ways of dealing with them, and small problems that may lead to a short period of depression can lead in time to something that's worse. And I always think that
Mm-hmm.
it's best to make sure that we I can't seem to remember the word, but it's to prevent rather than to treat. And I think this is the wisest way
Yeah.
to go about things. And also I love that
Mm-hmm.
what you said about the fact that it's our perception of the things that have happened. It's
Yes,
not what
correct.
actually happened that's
Mm-hmm.
the most important part. And especially in these childhood wounds, some things might have been really, really bad, like
Yep.
objectively, but what we can do and what we can change to empower ourselves is this part about how we perceive that experience. and
Yes.
and this is what gratitude can help us with, even
Mm-hmm.
though life might seem um, like neutral and nothing big seems to be happening. The fact that we can appreciate the small things makes
Mm-hmm.
it into something more magical and um, more beautiful.
Yeah. True. This is how life is, right? It's all a matter of choices, right? And Georgian, would you agree with me that life is about making the right choices?
Definitely.
Yep. And to be frank, right, I believe gratitude is a choice in the face of adversity as well, right? Yep. So I would like to ask the audience, okay. I'll also like to ask the listeners, okay, the listeners and the viewers, how many of you men out there grew up aspiring to be a nurse? I I I believe most likely, right? None of you, because um, many of you want to be an engineer, want to be serving for the army, want to be an entrepreneur like Gary Vaynerchuk, uh, or even be a speaker like Tony Robbins, and um, or even an actor like Will Smith, and etc. Right? So for me, right, as well, I didn't know, that I would choose to be a nurse until I have to come face to face with my mom's medical condition. Um, And I realized I I didn't know how to communicate with her, right? I didn't know how to communicate with her because, in fact, right, the medical condition, which I won't be talking that much, but the condition that she's suffering from is actually schizophrenia. So she suffers from schizophrenia, yeah, and I knew that the only way to actually understand her was to actually join this medical profession, and that's how I became a psychiatric nurse, right? And that was when I decided to be a nurse and to actually learn how to communicate with her. Yeah, and this is something that, in my mind, I had all this wonderful pictures, wonderful image of how nurses could be, all thanks to ER, Grey's Anatomy. So all this have given me this, and 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 all this got me excited. Like literally, I was like, "Woohoo! I'm gonna be a nurse, right? I'm gonna be awesome." And the thing is, within 2 months into my first job as a nurse in a Japanese clinic, I was being laid off.
Wow.
um, you know, um, it's not easy, right, to go through uh, this process in life. And one thing is, have you ever thought of something that's so perfect that ended up so imperfect?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just that when I thought, that my year couldn't get any worse, shortly after I left the place, I left my job, right? Um, that time I thought this girl was the love of my life. So she and I broke up. And not just that, my mom's medical condition had a relapse as well. So
Oh my
everything
God.
came to me as a blow, literally. And I felt like, Murphy's Law happening to me, right? All the negative things that could happen in the wrong time just happened. And everything that I thought would be right didn't happen at all. Eh, And, and, and I want to ask you, okay, I want to ask the audience, if you were me at this juncture, where your year has gotten as bad as it can go, what will you do? You see, during that time, there's these two colors that were very prominent. That's 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 showing in my life. One is black, and another one is white. So why is it black? Because it shows the darkest moment of my life, the darkest time that I was facing in the year 2014. And
Mm-hmm.
white was because I had an epiphany. Okay? And usually, everyone or many people, most people, their natural inclination is to feel down and out, right?
Yeah.
And they will feel depressed. Okay, they will feel very depressed. So for me, because I was having constant bullying before, and also at the same time, last time when I was younger, I even had the thought of committing suicide
Oh my
because of all
God.
this bullying and all my low self-esteem issues, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so usually my natural inclination would have been the opposite of gratification, which was being frustrated, being unhappy. So instead of feeling down, these two people actually came to my mind. Okay, so these two people were someone that I thought would have given a very positive impression in my life. And this person, the first person that I'm going to share with you, is a patient of mine. Okay, I can't name him
Mm-hmm.
because it's due to private and confidential issues. But let's call him Bob. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So Bob is someone that I happened to come across when I was a nursing student, and Bob, in fact, was a very pessimistic, very negative person. Okay, because at that time when I first saw him, when I first met him in the hospital, it's not the current hospital that I'm working, but it's a different hospital. So he was very upset because he has this terminal illness that gave him a that the doctors have told him that he only has a few months to live or even a few years to live. And day one, I saw him. He was listening to Buddhist mantra, and this Buddhist mantra is usually played when the person is dying. Okay, so
Mm.
I have no offense to any Buddhists who are listening to this. Okay, so for this particular situation, uh, I was looking at him, watching him, being so depressed, being so down, and I was very upset and I was very pissed at the look of it. So what I did was that I went to him and I went to switch off that Buddhist mantra because usually you play it when you're dying, right? So
Yeah.
I offed it and then I spoke to him. And the first thing was I asked him this question. This question has nothing got to do with religion. Okay, has nothing got to do with any religion. All right. So I asked
Mm-hmm.
him, Bob, do you believe in God? And he was like, he didn't give me any attention at first. And then I asked him, do you believe, okay, that God, okay, or whatever that you believe in, has created you just to feel sad, just to feel with regrets on the bed, lying on the bed, thinking about all these things every single day? And then he looked at me and he was pretty surprised that someone who's younger than him would ask him this question, because usually in be it Western or Eastern culture or Asian culture, usually the younger generation will have to listen and follow the older generation, right? They will
Mm-hmm.
listen to them instead of the opposite direction, right? Where the younger ones share ideas or just talk to the elderly. So for me, that was the first encounter that one of the encounters that we have. And he was surprised, right? So he looked at me and he said no. And then I was like, whoa. I was pretty surprised as well that he
Mm-hmm.
would answer me, right?
Yeah.
And we had a conversation, and then after that I asked him, do you think that by being so sad is fair to you and your family? Because whenever your family comes and see you like this, they, even though they don't cry in front of you, but at home they are already crying. At home they are already in tears,
Mm-hmm.
buckets of tears, because of how you're feeling and the sorrow that you have, right? So he then after that he then uh I believe he took some time to think about what I've shared with him, because the next day when I came, he was a completely different person. And and he just, when he saw me, he didn't look down and out. He just said hi to me very loudly, and he was smiling. And that was the first time I ever saw him smile. And I was very grateful, that whatever I did worked. And the reason why I shared this was because I deep down in me, after I was being laid off, I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, and my mom had a relapse. All these things, all this chain of events that happened to me, I was thinking, what is the next step for me? What should I do, right? And this this person, Bob, he came into picture, and I realized that, hey, I can be very motivational. I can inspire people. This is what I really want to do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, I was hanging out, with a group of friends, and we were actually watching a movie. And at that point of time, there was this advertisement on coaching, and it just I just had an epiphany, right? I just had this mini epiphany where I think that, hey, God is trying to tell me that, hey, Rayson, this is where you should go, right? This is where you should go, and this is what you should be doing. And then after that, after the whole movie, I went back, I turned on to Facebook, and guess what? I saw my ex-secondary schoolmate who used to be a thug, who used to be a bad boy in school, giving motivational talks. And I was pretty intrigued. I was like thinking, man, this was what I was thinking about when I was while I was watching the advertisement, and I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
hey, is this laws of attraction working? It's like I'm thinking of something that I want to do, and then the next thing, something beautiful, which is my ex-secondary school mate who was doing this speaking engagement, and and it just appeared in front of me in Facebook, and I was thinking, hey man, this is the time, man. I should be taking opportunity, and that's when he linked me up to my mentor, my ex-mentor. His name is David King. So
Mm-hmm.
this David King was the guy that actually changed my perception about failure. Because back back then, I I believe many people, or even I would say myself and many people out there, would have this thinking, would have this perception of failure, and that is failure is the road to success.
Mm-hmm.
hmm And the thing is, this guy changed my perception because one day while we were sitting down, and we were actually sitting down in the school, and he asked me this question: "Hey, Rayson, what do you think about failure?" And I just told him that quote that I told you just now, and that was, "Failure is the road to success." And then he stopped me. He said, "No, Rayson, that's not right. That's 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 not how failure is supposed to be. Instead, you should try thinking of it this way. Failure is feedback to success." I repeat again, failure is feedback to success.
Hmm.
And that blown my mind. That blown my mind. I was like thinking, yeah, all right, true. That makes sense. And then from then on, I decided to actually work my ass off to actually work on myself to be the finest and the best version that I could ever be. And within 2 to 3 years, I gave a goal to myself, and that is to be successful. However, successful meant to me, because successful it's a different ball game to different people, right? Some people want to be a millionaire. Somebody wants to be rich and famous. They want to be influencer in Facebook or any other social media platforms, and etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I thought of just being successful in 2 to 3 years, and I was really grateful that within 4 to 6 months, I found a job in psychiatric nursing, and then after that, my story was being published in a local newspaper, and
Wow.
then after that I was invited to the uh, my hospital's conference to speak, and I was really grateful for all these amazing experiences, and all these opportunities didn't stop in the year 2014. It grew from 2014 to 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. Even till today, I'm getting opportunities that's unbelievably amazing, and I'm really grateful for that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I think this is really powerful because it makes us look into growth, into the fact that
Yes.
it's actually feedback. It's something that just tells us that we need to work on some things, and that
Mm-hmm.
we can actually get to where we want to get to if we
Yep.
listen to the feedback and we improve what needs to be improved. And of
Yep.
course, my personal opinion is that the best way to do this is by enjoying the journey and by being grateful for every step of the way.
Yes, I agree. I believe, right, you need to enjoy the process. Even though you might have failed, you might have hit a roadblock in your life, it doesn't mean that it's going to end that way, right? It's going to end another way or so if you're going to take massive action into believing in yourself that you are able to rebound out of that roadblock and out of that failure and come back stronger than before. And for all the listeners who are tuning in right now, let me share with you this, and that is, you have something which you can show gratitude for in life. Okay, anything anything that you can think of. Like, for example, right, for me, I'm grateful for the gift of health, for keeping me alive today. Because if I'm not alive today, if I'm not mentally sound, I wouldn't be able to share through this podcast, the gratitude podcast, right?
Exactly.
And I would like the audience, okay, I would like the listeners, the viewers, to actually think of this. And that is, what is that one thing that you are grateful for? All right. If you can find that one thing, it will be your first step out of your adversity.
I love it.
Yeah, it will be your first step out of your adversity, right? Because when you are feeling ungrateful, right? Because when you're feeling ungrateful, it will be hard for you to look at the positive things in life. If you are always pessimistic, then it will be very tough for you to look at the brighter things in life.
Exactly. Even if they are there,
Yep.
That's why I believe this um, gratitude and this power of perception is so big, because even if
Mm-hmm.
things are amazing around you, and I'm talking to you, the listener, right now, the things that you're looking at right now, maybe it's your phone, maybe it's I don't know, maybe you're on the metro, or on your on your car or something, driving in
Mm-hmm.
your car. um, there might be amazing things happening right now, and that you can be enjoying. And if you don't have the habit of seeing them, they can just pass you by, and you wouldn't even notice them. And it's actually a pity to for this to happen, and it's it's really not helpful for anyone. So
Yeah.
uh, choosing a different attitude is is very important. But
Yeah.
Rayson, what I wanted to ask you is if you have a
Mm-hmm.
particular quote that you love about gratitude.
Mm-hmm. So my favorite quote for gratitude will be, "Have an attitude of gratitude" by Thomas S. Monson. So this is something that resonates with me a lot, because when you are having the attitude of gratitude, even though when things don't turn out right at times, you are still able to live your life well, and you are able to live your life without too many complaints. Maybe once in a while we will complain to our spouse, or or to our best friend about the work stress or anything, it's fine, right? Sometimes we need to, like what I said, do not bottle up and share with the
Mm-hmm.
people that you're facing, right? Um, Sometimes it just takes a little bit of effort for you to just give thanks. It just takes a little bit of an effort, right? It doesn't take a lot of effort for you to give thanks whenever you are awake or whenever you are going to bed. Just give thanks. And this is the thing that I've been practicing, which I would like to share with every one of you. And that is to write a gratitude journal. It could be on a physical book, or it could be electronically. All right, it could be on Evernote, or it could be using this app called Journey. So it's all up to you whether what kind of platforms that you want to use to actually write your gratitude journal. And I believe once you start this habit of writing gratitude journal, you will not stop, and you will be enjoying the process of writing this, because you'll be writing things that you're grateful for each and every day.
I definitely agree with this one, and
Yep.
it's very interesting what happens once you get into the habit of doing this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you, the fact that you're writing these things down actually
Mm-hmm.
make you be more aware of the things that are happening around, that
Yep.
are positive, that are beautiful, that are worthy of your appreciation. And even though probably they were there all along,
Mm-hmm.
you weren't able to see them before you've gotten into this habit of seeing them, of writing them down, and of just looking for them. And I think it works about the same as the idea of, for instance, when you're researching a car that you want to
Yep.
buy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Most probably you will see it everywhere. Like if you, especially if it's not like a really super expensive supercar that you don't see every day, but if it's a normal car that you would like to buy and that you're researching, you will see it everywhere because your brain is looking for it somehow. And it goes the same with gratitude and with appreciation. The fact that um, we choose to focus on those things, we get to see more of those things in our life and to appreciate them more. And I also wanted to ask you, in your life, who are the people that made a difference and that you're very grateful for, that you would like to mention?
Well, definitely, apart from the two people that I've shared the on the show just now, I would like to
Mm-hmm.
actually give thanks to. I would like to express my gratitude to my parents. I mean, my dad, my stepmom, because they have done extremely uh, well in parenting me, and also at the same time, they took the effort to look after me. My stepmom gave up her goal in becoming one of the top property agent in Singapore to actually teach me and to nurture me in my studies so that I will not be a failure in my exams. And I
Mm-hmm.
would also like to give thanks to this particular person. His name is David King. It's a different David King. So this David King, he is one of my mentor who actually coached me in how to actually spread my message, to spread my story around. And
Mm-hmm.
before we had this show, right, he was actually guiding me on how to say it, what to say, how to say it, and stuff like that. So I'm really grateful for David King. And last but not least, I would like to thank this guy who has been empowering me, who has been motivating me a lot. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk. I would like to thank Gary Vaynerchuk for answering my question last year in one of excuse me, his speaking engagement, his speaking event. I would like to thank him for giving me the advice of being interesting, and also at the same time giving me the advice of being producing my own content and being interesting and being uh, someone that is noteworthy in the podcast and even in the Facebook or social media industry. So I'm really grateful for him for his advices as well.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing so many interesting and valuable and vulnerable stories with us. I really, really
Oh, you're most
appreciate
welcome.
it. And
Yeah.
where can our audience find you? Where can our audience see your work?
All right. So basically, you guys can actually find me at Raygacy, okay, on Instagram, Raygacy, or Facebook as well. It's it's Raygacy, so Raygacy, and then also at the same time, if you want to add me up on Facebook, you can find me on Raysonchoo, Rayson Choo. All right, and then again, the website that I have is currently under maintenance. So once it's up, I will let you guys know as well. So you can actually look out for this website called www.raygacy.com, and another one would be www.raysonchoo.com. Right. So if you want to engage me for speaking engagements, or if you want to have me on your show, just DM me, PM me from there. All right. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Perfect. Perfect. So, is there something that I didn't ask you and that you would like to close this interview with?
Well, I would say that, um, in fact, right, I would like to close this with this, and that is everyone that I shared just now regarding gratification, gratitude. Sometimes it might be hard, right? Sometimes it will be hard to be grateful, and you'll be in the mindset of looking at what you don't have, what you're lacking, and etc. So sometimes because of all this, you'll be frustrated, and you will be complaining about yourself. You'll be uh, not loving yourself even more, right? Um, I would advise everyone to actually step back of whatever negative thoughts you are having, and then think of the things that you have rather than the things that you don't have. It's because being ungrateful is a time waster. So in greed, complain, okay, which is pronounced as prapunian, okay, means if you keep complaining, you will tend to stay for one more night. So you'll be wasting your time. So instead of always complaining about things, about government, about anything that is happening in your life, be grateful for it. Be grateful for whatever that you have, and work hard, hustle hard towards whatever that you are lacking of, hustle for whatever that you are dreaming of, and make sure that if it don't happen for you at the time, make sure that it happens for you. You are the one who have the choice. You are the one who is controlling your life. You are lucky enough to be a human being. No one else can have the same ability as you. So you have the talent of what you have. You have the abilities of what you have. Make sure you make full use of it, and make sure that you are able to fulfill your purpose in life. So with that, I would like to wish each and every one of you a great and awesome day ahead.
Thank you very much, Rayson. I think
Hey, you're
this
most
is
welcome.
a very inspiring message to end this with. Thank you very much for being a guest on the Gratitude
Oh,
Podcast.
you're most welcome. It's really my honor and pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our weekly podcast. Help us reach our goal of inspiring 100,000 people by sharing this podcast with your loved ones, with your Facebook friends. And if you loved this episode, please write a review on iTunes.